talking about delegates and anonymous methods and Lambda expressions, let me show you three generic delegates called func, action, and predicate in this lesson. So a func is generic in that it takes up to 16 inputs of any data type and provides an output type. They're in the less than, greater than brackets that you would normally see for a generic like a list. And so here we have a func called myfunc, and it takes two inputs, double and double, and then the output is the last one here, which is the string. So if we think of a normal method, such as this divide ints, we're taking two parameters, x and y as integers, and returning a double. Well, we can use that in a func delegate, as I've done here in the BTN Func demo button. So we have a func of int, and double. That's our two parameters and our output. I called it double division, and it's going to equal this method of divide ints. We're taking x and y, converting those to doubles, and doing a double division. Well, we can also rewrite that as an anonymous method. So same thing, func int, double division, and here I'm going to use a delegate int x and y, and I'm returning the division of x divided by y as double. Let's take it a step further, and we can write it as a lambda expression, which is going to be what this button does. So BTN Func demo now is a func int double, named it double division, and turning into a lambda, we have our parameters of x and y, and then we're going to return the value of double x divided by double y, and we have our goes to lambda operator. Let's watch this run. And so here we have an integer of a equals 9, b equals 4. We're creating an integer called double c and calling the double divisions func delegate and passing it a and b. The result is 225, and that's what's being used in our string for the message box of the result of 9 and 4 is 2.25. Well, in the same way, we have an action generic delegate. Looks the same, except we use the word action rather than func. On an action, we have up to 16 inputs. So here I have int, double, and string. Now in the func, the string was our output. But in a action, there is no return value. It's like a void method. We can take this method of pause message and taking its prompt. I can implement that method as an action. We're passing it a string, naming it pause dialog, and it's pulling pause message. We can use that then in this calling pause dialog and giving us prompt. It's going to create the message for us. So all it's doing is just pausing for the user interaction. We can also write that as an anonymous method, as we did with the func. So here it's going to equal delegate, passing it the string, and it's going to return a message with the prompt and the title. And we can call it the same way. Well, of course, we can write that as a lambda expression as well. So same thing. Here's my input of prompt, that's a string. It knows it's a string based on my action call here, passing it a string. And then we have our lambda expression operator, messagebox.show, it's going to show that message box. And again, we call it the same way. So if we run this, execution paused, allow user to continue by pressing OK. And there's our hypotenuse calculation being displayed in a message box. We have one more, and that is a predicate. Works just like the func, but as with the action, we don't specify a return data type. It takes up to 16 inputs, but it's going to always return a Boolean value, either true or false. So I give you a problem here of we have an ISBN number that has 13 digits. That last one is a checksum. There's a formula they use for the checksum. It equals 0 if it's valid. We want to know, is it a valid ISBN number? So we can create a method to test that. We're passing it the ISBN string, and then we can take our predicate, is valid ISBN, have it equal that method. And of course we could write this, as a anonymous method, including the body text of the method in our predicate. Or we could also write it as a lambda expression, again including that body in the message. So here it goes to, and we have the methods being run, and it's returning a Boolean expression, in this case valid. So it does return a Boolean. Let's watch this one run. So I can put in a ISBN and click OK, and it's told me that is a valid ISBN. Let's run it one more time. I'm just going to change the checksum number here, say to a 7, and that's not a valid ISBN. That does not equal the checksum value. So that is our generic delegates of func, action, and predicate. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the C# Xamarin Programming Cohort playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos that I create, you can click my picture up in the top right and subscribe to the channel.